So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy Ellen. I'm back. In this video here, you won't believe this. Watch what this congressman just said to Biden's FBI director in an epic battle. We see, then we see. All right, let's check it out. Let's check it out.
So finally, from the FBI's point of view, you've been following the Sussman trial, I would assume.
Sussman.
Okay, well, he's in trial. But let me just ask you this question. A lot of Americans are concerned with the fact that a campaign lawyer for the Clinton campaign could go to the FBI and provide information to the FBI that led to an investigation of the opposite party, and it seems to not have held much water. Can you understand why people would be concerned about that?
I certainly understand why people are concerned.
In the Horowitz review of the Crossfire Hurricane, you're familiar with his findings, the Inspector General.
Yes.
This is your chance to tell the American people that you're going to make sure that never happens again, and you're dedicated to making sure that, for whatever reason, there are no more Carter Pages investigations that seem to have gotten completely off the rails.
So I will put the Sussman case to the side for the moment because I don't want to comment on a case that's in front of the jury right now. But
isn't that scary though? Like the FBI being like mixed into political agendas. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that kind of like that should never happen? That should never happen.
But let me say this, what the conduct that is described in the Inspector General's report, I consider to be utterly unacceptable and also unrepresentative of the FBI that I see every day. And my firm instructions to our people are that we need to make sure that that never happens again. And we have implemented over 40 corrective measures that go directly to the things that are described in that report. We've made changes of the entire leadership team in the FBI. And the FBI that I see today in 2022 is very different from what's described in that report.
Senator Kennedy.
Happened.
Mr. Director, I remember when you were nominated and confirmed. Boy, was I glad to see you.
Who's talking right now? I can't figure out who's talking.
I believe then and I believe now
Okay.
that you're not a politician. I think your predecessor was. And he and others did measurable damage to one of the most important institutions in American government. Because I believe, as you do, that in addition to the DEA, the FBI is probably the premier law enforcement agency in all of human history, and it should be above politics.
Facts. We just said that.
For the record, who is Michael Sussman?
Michael Sussman is a lawyer who is currently involved in a trial by the Durham Special Counsel team.
His law firm, Perkins Coie, was counsel to Secretary Hillary Clinton's campaign, right?
Senator, I'm mindful, as I think you would expect me to be, that the case is currently in the middle of trial, and well, we have agents, and I have assigned agents to work on the Durham team. I want to be really, really careful about not getting into a discussion about a case that's currently in front of a very independent and strong-willed federal judge and a jury right now. So,
well, Mr. Sussman was counsel to Secretary Clinton's campaign, and we also know that he was the source of the information provided to the FBI that the Trump campaign had a back-channel communication to Russia, which we now know isn't true. Is it true that Michael Sussman, a partner at Perkins Coie, counsel to the Hillary Clinton campaign, and the source of this information about the allegations
That's just crazy just to hear it. How can that not be a conflict of interest? How? You cannot, like, this type of stuff cannot happen. Like I was saying earlier, the FBI should be nowhere near any type of political agenda at all. At all. Why? Because you know they're going to be compromised, man. Stop it.
regarding the Trump campaign. Is it true that he had a badge that gave, an FBI headquarters badge that gave him special privileges in entering the FBI building?
Well, Senator, what I would say to you is much in keeping with the gracious comments you made at the beginning about my commitment to trying to make sure I do this job the right way. That includes making sure that with a case that is currently in the middle of trial and an investigation being run by Mr. Durham that we are actively helping him with. I don't think I can really get into a discussion of those topics at the moment.
When the FBI opened a file to investigate Mr. Sussman's allegations, is it true that the FBI concealed Mr. Sussman's identity?
Oh.
Again, I completely understand your interest in the question, and
His response has not changed yet. This senator is not trying to hear it, though. He still continues to ask those questions, man, which needs to be addressed, though. But I get his positioning as ongoing investigation, currently on trial. I can't answer it. The investigations is going on. I'm involved. Like, I can't go any further. But this senator is still plowing through. Like, no.
respect it.
We need answers.
And I just hope you will respect the fact that because I've got agents working with Mr. Durham on the case and they're in the middle of trial right now, I just don't think I can get into a discussion of that here.
When the FBI opened its file,
You see his body language as well. It went from this when he was talking to now this. This is crazy.
The discussion of that here.
when the FBI opened its file to investigate the allegations that Mr. Sussman, on behalf of the Clinton campaign, made, now known to be untrue, about these back channel communications between the Trump campaign and Russia. When the FBI opened the file, is it true that the file said the source of this information was not Mr. Sussman, but the Department of Justice?
Again, the same response. These are the very kinds of questions that are being litigated in front of the jury and Judge Cooper right now.
Senator Kennedy, I would just urge you to follow a separate line of questioning. As Director Reyes said, he's not going to answer questions relative to this case that's being litigated.
I appreciate that, Madam Chair, and you know how much I respect you. I want my time back, by the way.
You can have those 3 seconds that I
No,
give.
you
Oh, man, this is getting good, bro. This is getting good. She said you can have your 3 seconds. No. I want my time back.
my time back, by the way.
You can have those 3 seconds that I
No,
give.
you talk for about 10 seconds.
I'm happy to give you those 10 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate your help with my questions, but I can handle it myself. Chris, at some point, you're going to have to address this. And I understand you don't want to address it in the middle of a prosecution. But there are millions of Americans that look at this and think, I'm not saying they're correct, that the FBI has become a political organization. And at some point, you're going to have to address that.
That's a fact.
The institution is just too important. And some of my colleagues may not want to talk about this, but we're going to have to talk about it at some point.
Well, so first off, I totally appreciate your concern about our institution. And I will tell you that what I can speak to now is that I have implemented all sorts of reforms that I've spoken about quite publicly, over 40 plus corrective measures that deal with a lot of the same issues that are at the heart of the underlying investigation. I completely turned over the entire leadership team in the FBI. We've taken disciplinary action where we could, but we've also been in close cooperation and coordination with Mr. Durham, who is the special counsel, and I think that's the best thing I can do to help address the concerns you're talking about. As to the FBI's reputation, I will tell you, having been to all 56 of our field offices, now almost all of them twice, I've been to New Orleans just earlier this month and Baton Rouge just shortly before that, what I find in talking to Americans out in the field, law enforcement partners, business leaders, community leaders, victims, prosecutors, families, is a widespread, even resounding appreciation and respect for the men and women of the FBI. And you will be, I hope, relieved to know that in Louisiana, over the last 3 years, last two and a half years, the number of people in Louisiana applying to be special agents of the FBI has doubled what it was in the first few years when I took over. And so I think that speaks very well of the good citizens of Louisiana and their appreciation and view of the FBI's credibility.
And I thank you for coming, Chris, and I thank you for all the hard work you've done. But I'm going to stand by my comments. I think at the right time you're going to have to address this and assure the American people that,
Senator Hagerty.
that the rot is gone. Thank you. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Thank you, Chairwoman Shaheen.
Director, was Agent...
Hey, I'm with the senator on that, man. Because for you to make those allegations, I don't care how you feel about Trump or anybody. If you make those allegations on anybody, that leaves a stain. That leaves a stain for anybody. You know what I'm saying? So that cannot happen because you're trying to appeal or do this to help another political agenda. Like, it cannot, that type of stuff cannot, and especially with the FBI, bro, cannot happen. So yeah, I'm with the, you gotta address it. It has to be addressed.
Peter Strzok, the former deputy head of counterintelligence at the FBI.
I don't remember his exact title, but I believe that's correct.
And he's the same Peter Strzok who was a key player in the Clinton investigation, the same Peter Strzok who interviewed Cheryl Mills, Huma Abedin, participated in the Clinton, Secretary Clinton's interview. And he's also the same Peter Strzok who now we know changed Director Comey's exoneration letter, changed the term gross negligence, which is a crime, to extreme carelessness. Is that the same guy?
Well, Congressman, I don't know every step that the individual you mentioned was involved in, but certainly I know that he was heavily involved in the Clinton email investigation.
Thank you. And is this the same Peter Strzok who helped, was a key player in the Russian investigation, and the same Peter Strzok who was put on Mueller's team, Special Counsel Bob Mueller's team?
I certainly know that he was working on the special counsel's investigation. Whether or not he would be characterized as a key player on that investigation, that's really not for me to say.
And the same Peter Strzok that we learned this past weekend was removed from the special counsel team because he exchanged text messages with a colleague at the FBI that displayed a pro-Clinton bias. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Talk about the same guy. Okay.
Yes.
Well, here's what I'm not getting. Peter Strzok is selected to be on Mueller's team after all this history, put on Mueller's team, and then he's removed for some pro-Clinton text messages. I mean, there are all kinds of people on Mueller's team who are pro-Clinton. There's been all kinds of stories. PolitiFact reported 96% of the top lawyers' contributions went to Clinton or Obama. But Peter Strzok, the guy who ran the Clinton investigation, interviewed Mills, Abedin, interviewed Secretary Clinton, changed gross negligence a crime to the term extreme carelessness, who ran the Russian investigation, who interviewed Mike Flynn, gets put on Mueller's team, and then he gets kicked off for a text message that's anti-Trump. If you kicked everybody off Mueller's team who was anti-Trump, I don't think there'd be anybody left. So there's got to be something more here. It can't just be some text messages that show a pro-Clinton, anti-Trump bias. There's got to be something more. And I'm trying to figure out what it is. But my hunch is it has something to do with the dossier. Director, did Peter Strzok help produce and present the application to the FISA court to secure a warrant to spy on Americans associated with the Trump campaign?
Congressman, I'm not prepared to discuss anything about a FISA process in this setting.
We're not talking about what happened in the court. We're talking about what the FBI took to the court, the application. Did Peter Strzok, was he involved in taking that to the court?
I'm not going to discuss in this setting anything to do with the FISA court applications.
Well, let's remember a couple things, Director. And I know you know this. We've all been made aware of this in the last few weeks. Let's remember a couple things about the dossier. The Democrat National Committee and the Clinton campaign, which we now know were one and the same, paid the law firm, who paid Fusion GPS, who paid Christopher Steele, who then paid Russians, to put together a report that we call a dossier full of all kinds of fake news, National Enquirer garbage. And it's been reported that this dossier was all dressed up by the FBI, taken to the FISA court, and presented as a legitimate intelligence document.
How do you trust the FBI after that? Which goes back to that senator stating that you have got to say something. You got to say something.
That it became the basis for granting a warrant to spy on Americans. I'm wondering, I'm wondering if that actually took place. It sure looks like it did. And the easiest way to clear it up is for you guys to tell us what was in that application and who took it there.
Congressman, our staffs have been having extensive interaction with both intelligence committees on our interaction with the FISA court, and I think that's the appropriate setting for those questions.
Here's what I think, Director Wray. I think Peter Strzok, head of counterintelligence at the FBI, Peter Strzok, the guy who ran the Clinton investigation, did all the interviews, Peter Strzok, the guy who was running the Russian investigation at the FBI, Peter Strzok, Mr. Super Agent at the FBI, I think he's the guy who took the application to the FISA court. And if that happened, I mean, think if this happened, if you had the FBI working with a campaign, the Democrats' campaign, taking opposition research, dressing it all up and turning it into an intelligence document and taking it to the FISA court so they could spy on the other campaign, if that happened, that is as wrong as it gets. And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. You could clear it all up. You could clear it all up for all of us here, all the Congress who wants to know, and frankly, all of America who wants to know. You could clear it all up by release. We sent you a letter 2 days ago. Just release the application. Tell us what was in it. Tell us if I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. I think that's exactly what happened. And if it did, it is as wrong as it can be. And people who did that need to be held accountable.
That's a fact.
Congressman, we will not hesitate to hold people accountable after there has been an appropriate investigation, independent and objective, by the Inspector General into the handling of the prior matter. And based on that, I will look at all available remedies, depending on what the facts are when they are found. As to the access to the dossier, that's something that is a subject of ongoing discussion between my staff and the various intelligence committees.
There's nothing prohibiting you, Director. Is there anything prohibiting you from showing this committee what was presented to the FISA court, the application you all put together at the FBI that was presented to the FISA court? Is there anything preventing you from showing us that?
The time the gentleman has expired. The director can respond.
I do not believe that I can legally and appropriately share a FISA court submission with this committee.
I'm talking about what the FBI put together, not what the court had, what you took there, what was the process put together, what you presented, what you took to the court.
When I sign FISA applications, which I have to do almost every day of the week, they are all covered with a classified information cover. So that's part of why we
is
would
it
not
likely
be
that Peter
discussing it
Strzok is it likely that Peter Strzok played a part in the application presented to the FISA court?
The gentleman's time has expired. However, I do want to follow up on your last response to the gentleman. This committee, the House Judiciary Committee, has primary jurisdiction over the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. Yeah. So any request for documents coming to any part of the Congress should include the House Judiciary Committee, and if it is classified in any way, shape, or form, it can be provided to us in a classified setting. But that is information that we are very much interested in,
Mr. Chairman,
very much want to receive.
So he just basically said, F your classified document. We have ways around being able to see that, bro. Send it.
Question to the chairman. Yeah, I don't think there's anything prohibiting the FBI from giving us what they used to put together what was taken to the FISA court. That's what we're asking for. And there is nothing prohibiting him from doing that.
I don't think there is either.
Nope.
Time of the gentleman has expired, however. You care to respond to that, Director Ray?
No, I think I've covered it.
No, we knew he wasn't going to respond. We knew he wasn't going to respond to that. He was so happy. That's like a boxer being beat up, right? Being beat up. And then he's saved by the bell, and he's so happy that bell rung. That's what you just witnessed right there. But how? I question y'all. How do we trust the FBI after that? Like that senator says, somebody got to address the American people, man. We want answers. Y'all get at me in the comment section, bro. Let me know what you thought of this, man. Title read, you won't believe this. Watch what the congressman just said to Biden's FBI director in epic battle. It's your boy L, man. Y'all stick around and stay tuned. Leave a like on your way out if you want to see more. Till next one, I'm gone. Peace.